almost halfway through the year of 2024, and I already see e-commerce brands making these costly mistakes, which is completely ruining their chances of scaling their e-commerce brands. And these mistakes are causing them not only to spend money unprofitably on Google Ads, but it's also actually the main reason why they're not able to take things to the very next level. So in this video, I want to go over the 5 major mistakes e-commerce brands, regardless of niche or industry, are making right now with Google Ads, which you should not be making with your own brand. But with that, let's go on to mistake number 1, which is having the same ad copy across multiple different ad groups or asset groups within their campaigns. Now, what I mean by this is if we go inside, for example, a search campaign right here, we go to the ads section right here, we can see there's only one ad copy here and there's only one ad group here, which is fine because there's only one ad group. However, it becomes a problem when you have 2, 3, 5, 10 different ad groups or asset groups within your campaigns, and then each one of these ad groups or asset groups has the same exact ad copy with just maybe the different SEO keyword or just no differences at all. And this is one of the worst mistakes you can be doing, because Google Ads prefers a customized approach, because this lets Google do its thing and test different things out to figure out what works best. If you just go after the one size fits all approach, just have one ad copy or even one asset group and just the same logos or videos or headlines across multiple different asset groups, what happens is Google loses its ability to actually find new things which work. And this is when your brand starts to plateau. This is when sales start to go down, because now Google has nothing new to actually test. It's the same thing getting tested over and over across multiple different asset groups. So the ideal approach, if you want to have multiple different asset groups within like a performance max or a smart bidding based campaign, or within a search campaign, YouTube campaign, etc., is to have not only multiple ad groups testing different things out, but also multiple ads within each asset groups or ad groups. And this is the best way to go after it, because this lets Google again do its thing and test different things out. But this brings us to mistake number 2, which is not using advanced controls. Now, advanced controls are something that are more kind of automated. If we go right here to tools and settings to the bidding strategies, we can see exactly what I mean when I say advanced controls. These are all tactics which you can use to let the algorithm control things for you, such as the bids, such as when the budget should increase, when they should decrease, etc. You can go within the account strategy section to look at different reports, or you can go to the advanced control section and control things like the based on seasonality. So for example, if we click the plus button, it talks about how you can control budgets according to the season. So let's say, for example, right now it's Black Friday. Let's just assume that you want to come in here and you want to give Google the ability to either change your budget. As you can see, it says additional average daily budget amounts, or you can actually tell Google that you're expecting your conversion rates for your campaigns or your website to increase during this time, because again, seasons like Black Friday, or if you're coming with a big drop for your brand, these improve the conversion rate significantly. And if you have tons of previous data to know exactly how much it's going to increase by or how much you should increase your budgets by, you should use this to your advantage, because again, these automated bidding strategies, these automated things let you control more things when you're not there, when you're not available to manually change things. But keep in mind, this is automation. This is a robot doing these things, and sometimes robots go wrong because it's not a real human being. However, I do still recommend a small portion of your strategy involves advanced controls like this, because this is what Google is really striving after. Again, keep in mind, you don't want to just have all of your campaigns on this. There should be about 10 to 20% of your campaigns only that should be using something like this. But this brings us to mistake number 3, which is disregarding competitors. Now, what most e-commerce brands know is brand search campaigns. Most agencies will come onto your ad account, they will launch a brand search campaign, because that's one of the most important ones, because it goes after your own brand's keyword, your own brand domain name. However, what most e-commerce brands completely disregard is competitor-based keywords and competitor-based domains. So for example, if one of your major competitors is Amazon.com, because it's literally a duplicate of your brand and it sells the same exact products as yours, you need to be using Amazon.com or just the brand name Amazon to your advantage. And the way to do that is to launch a competitor search campaign. So same way as you would launch a brand search campaign, but just replace the keywords with your competitor's name or the .com of your competitor's website. It's that simple. But one thing you want to understand with this competitor search campaign is you need to be very cautious with this, of not to just go and talk bad about your competitors. That's very unprofessional. It could get you in some legal trouble as well. So don't come crying in the comment section if you get sued by Amazon or any of these other websites. But this brings us to mistake number 4, which is running multiple objectives inside one ad account. So what I often see e-commerce brands do, especially those that have retail stores or those that have like some kind of lead forum on their website along with products, or even those that require users to call in to purchase along with buying online, is they have multiple objectives chosen within their campaign. So if we go to settings, what they often do is they'll have one conversion tracking for purchases, but then they'll have something else here as well, which is, for example, like signups, or they might have phone call leads going after both of these inside of one campaign. And this is one of the worst things you can do, because on a very broad level, somebody who's gonna call in to purchase your product, even if it's the same exact product as they would buy on your website, it's a little bit of a different person. I mean, they need a little bit of more help with the product potentially. They may need a little bit of more guidance on what your product does. They may have questions on it, etc. And overall, it's just a different persona. It's just a different person in general compared to somebody who's ready to buy with a single click on the website. So you want to make the algorithm's life easy. You don't want to add a bunch of these different goals in and then just tell the algorithm, hey, go out and find people who sign up, who purchase, who call in to purchase as well, because it makes the algorithm's life a bit harder. And when you make the algorithm's life a bit harder, it takes that much longer to get you consistent and profitable results. So keep things separate. I even recommend you go after different ad accounts if you want to target leads versus phone calls versus just purchases, because that is the most efficient way to do it. If you have a whole new ad account just for phone call leads, well, that entire ad account will only get data for those people who call in via their phone. And that's gonna make the ad account much more smarter. It's gonna make it get much easier to get consistent results for that individual objective. But this brings us to the 5th and most important mistake of one-itis. Now, in normal life, you may have heard of one-itis, where you just focus on one thing, or maybe you're focused on one woman or whatever it might be. In this case of Google Ads, one-itis is where you're focused on basically one campaign type, or you're focused on one major keyword, or you're focused on one type of approach. This is one of the worst things you can do, because this takes out the creativity from your approach. 2024, there's a lot of e-commerce brands, especially your own competitors, which are trying multiple different strategies. They are testing a lot of things all at once. If you have very big competitors, they're spending tens and thousands of dollars a day testing these things, and this is causing them to find new strategies very quickly. So if you're still running with just one performance max campaign, or you have multiple campaigns but they're only performance max, or you have just one strategy which used to work 2 years ago, which you're still using right now, I'm sorry to say it's not going to cut it anymore in 2024. You're going to end up just staying 10 steps behind your competitors, and eventually your brand will die out. So this is something we do for our e-commerce brands we handle under my agency as well, which, by the way, if you run a brand doing $50,000 or more per month in revenue, you need just a little bit of extra help scaling your brand to the next level. Go onto my website at yourownmarketing.com and schedule a free call with me to see essentially how we can work together and scale your brand to the next level. But what we do is we like to diversify our approaches. One of the most common approaches we take across these brands is the TPS approach: testing, profitability, and scaling. And while these 3 different phases make us go after performance match or standard shopping campaign initially, these phases also give us a very broad approach of what we need to do, what we need to test, etc. And naturally, we're inclined to put more campaign types into the testing phase, for example. This really not only helps your account as a whole get a ton of data very quickly from other sides and angles, but it also makes your initial campaigns, which you have been relying on for so long, smarter. And it makes them more consistent, where you have ups and downs, but it's not crazy ups and downs. It's more kind of directed, and it's more natural ups and downs, instead of where one day you have $15,000 in sales and the very next day you might have like $0 in sales, or like $1,000 in sales. So you want to keep things very steady, very natural. This is what we do for the e-commerce brands, again, which we handle. But again, if you run a brand doing $50,000 or more per month in revenue and you want to scale to the next level with Google, go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and schedule a free call with me to see essentially how we can work together and make that happen. But check out this video right here on a case study I did of an e-commerce brand which we recently blew up after we fixed up these exact mistakes this brand was making.